Chinese martial arts, which are called kung fu or gung fu and wushu, are a number of fighting styles that have developed over the centuries in China. These fighting styles are often classified according to common traits, identified as families, sects, or schools of martial arts. Examples of such traits include physical exercises involving animal mimicry, or training methods inspired by Chinese philosophies, religions and legends. Styles that focus on qi manipulation are called internal, while others that concentrate on improving muscle and cardiovascular fitness are called external. Geographical association, as in northern and southern, is another popular classification method. Terminology. Kung Fu and Wushu are loan words from Chinese that, in English, are used to refer to Chinese martial arts. However, the Chinese terms Kung Fu and Wushu, Cantonese, Musut, have distinct meanings. The Chinese equivalent of the term Chinese martial arts would be Zhongguo Wushu. In Chinese, the term Kung Fu refers to any skill that is acquired through learning or practice. It is a compound word composed of the words meaning work, achievement, or merit, and which is a particle or nominal suffix with diverse meanings. Wushu literally means martial art. It is formed from the two words, meaning martial or military, and which translates into discipline, skill, or method. The term wushu has also become the name for the modern sport of wushu, an exhibition and full-contact sport of barehanded and weapons forms, adapted and judged to a set of aesthetic criteria for points developed since 1949 in the People's Republic of China. Quan Fa is another Chinese term for Chinese martial arts. It means fist principles, or the law of the fist. The name of the Japanese martial art Kenpo is represented by the same characters. History. The genesis of Chinese martial arts has been attributed to the need for self-defense, hunting techniques and military training in ancient China. Hand-to-hand combat and weapons practice were important in training ancient Chinese soldiers. Detailed knowledge about the state and development of Chinese martial arts became available from the Nanjing Decade, as the Central Guoshu Institute established by the Kuomintang regime made an effort to compile an encyclopedic survey of martial arts schools. Since the 1950s, the People's Republic of China has organized Chinese martial arts as an exhibition and full-contact sport under the heading of Wushu. Legendary origins. According to legend, Chinese martial arts originated during the semi-mythical Xia dynasty more than 4,000 years ago. It is said the Yellow Emperor Wangdi introduced the earliest fighting systems to China. The Yellow Emperor is described as a famous general who, before becoming China's leader, wrote lengthy treatises on medicine, astrology and the martial arts. One of his main opponents was Kai, who was credited as the creator of Jiao Dai, a forerunner to the modern art of Chinese wrestling. Early history. The earliest references to Chinese martial arts are found in the Spring and Autumn Annals, where a hand-to-hand combat theory, one that integrates notions of hard and soft techniques, is mentioned. A combat wrestling system called a.k.a. or Jiaoli is mentioned in the Classic of Rites. This combat system included techniques such as strikes, throws, joint manipulation, and pressure point attacks. Jiao Dai became a sport during the Qin dynasty. The Han history bibliographies record that, by the former Han, there was a distinction between no-holds-barred weaponless fighting, which it called Shaobo, for which training manuals had already been written, and sportive wrestling, then known as Jiu-Jitsu. Wrestling is also documented in the Shiji records of the Grand Historian, written by Sima Qian. In the Tang dynasty, descriptions of sword dances were immortalized in poems by Li Bai. In the Song and Yuan dynasties, Zhangpu contests were sponsored by the imperial courts. The modern concepts of wushu were fully developed by the Ming and Qing dynasties. Philosophical influences. The ideas associated with Chinese martial arts changed with the evolution of Chinese society and over time acquired some philosophical bases. Passages in the Zhuangzi, a Taoist text, pertain to the psychology and practice of martial arts. Zhuangzi, its eponymous author, is believed to have lived in the 4th century BCE. The Tao Te Ching, often credited to Laozi, is another Taoist text that contains principles applicable to martial arts. According to one of the classic texts of Confucianism, Zhou Li, archery and charioteering were part of the 6 arts of the Zhou dynasty. The Art of War, written during the 6th century BCE by Sun Tzu, deals directly with military warfare but contains ideas that are used in the Chinese martial arts. Taoist practitioners have been practicing Tao Yin from as early as 500 BCE. In 3992 CE, 6 chapters of hand fighting were included in the Han Shu written by Pan Ku. Also, the noted physician, Hua Tuo, composed the 5 animals play, tiger, deer, monkey, bear, and bird, around 220 CE. Taoist philosophy and their approach to health and exercise have influenced the Chinese martial arts to a certain extent. Direct reference to Taoist concepts can be found in such styles as the 8 Immortals, which uses fighting techniques attributed to the characteristics of each immortal. Shaolin and temple-based martial arts. The Shaolin style of Kung Fu is regarded as one of the first institutionalized Chinese martial arts. The oldest evidence of Shaolin participation in combat is a stela from 728 CE that attests to 2 occasions: a defense of the Shaolin monastery from bandits around 610 CE, and their subsequent role in the defeat of Wang Shichong at the Battle of Huao in 621 CE. From the 8th to the 15th centuries, there are no extant documents that provide evidence of Shaolin participation in combat. Between the 16th and 17th centuries, at least 40 sources exist to provide evidence both that monks of Shaolin practiced martial arts, and that martial practice became an integral element of Shaolin monastic life. The earliest appearance of the frequently cited legend concerning Bodhidharma's supposed foundation of Shaolin Kung Fu dates to this period. The origin of this legend has been traced to the Ming period's Xiangyang or Muscle Change Classic, a text written in 1624 attributed to Bodhidharma. References of martial arts practice in Shaolin appear in various literary genres of the late Ming. The epitaphs of Shaolin warrior monks, martial arts manuals, military encyclopedias, historical writings, travelogues, fiction and poetry. However, these sources do not point out to any specific style originated in Shaolin. These sources, in contrast to those from the Tang period, refer to Shaolin methods of armed combat. These include a skill for which Shaolin monks became famous: the staff. The Ming general Qi Jiguang included description of Shaolin Quan Fa and staff techniques in his book, Jisio Shinshu, which can translate as New Book Recording Effective Techniques. When this book spread to East Asia, it had a great influence on the development of martial arts in regions such as Okinawa and Korea. Modern history. Republican period. Most fighting styles that are being practiced as traditional Chinese martial arts today reached their popularity within the 20th century. Some of these include Bagua Zhang, drunken boxing, eagle claw, 5 animals, Xingyi, Hunga, monkey, Bakmei Pari, praying mantis, disambiguation needed, Fuqian, white crane, Joga, Wing Chun and Taichikon. The increase in the popularity of those styles is a result of the dramatic changes occurring within the Chinese society. In 1901, the righteous and harmonious fists rose against foreign occupiers and Christian missionaries in China. This uprising is known in the West as the Boxer Rebellion due to the martial arts and calisthenics practiced by the rebels. Empress Dowager Cixi gained control of the rebellion and tried to use it against the foreign powers. The failure of the rebellion led 10 years later to the fall of the Qing dynasty and the creation of the Chinese Republic. The present view of Chinese martial arts is strongly influenced by the events of the Republican period. In the transition period between the fall of the Qing dynasty as well as the turmoil of the Japanese invasion and the Chinese Civil War, Chinese martial arts became more accessible to the general public as many martial artists were encouraged to openly teach their art. At that time, some considered martial arts as a means to promote national pride and build a strong nation. As a result, many training manuals were published, a training academy was created, 2 national examinations were organized as well as demonstration teams traveled overseas, and numerous martial arts associations were formed throughout China and in various overseas Chinese communities. The Central Guoshu Academy established by the national government in 1928 and the Jingwu Athletic Association founded by Huo Yuanjie in 1910 are examples of organizations that promoted a systematic approach for training in Chinese martial arts. A series of provincial and national competitions were organized by the Republican government starting in 1932 to promote Chinese martial arts. In 1936, at the 11th Olympic Games in Berlin, a group of Chinese martial artists demonstrated their art to an international audience for the first time. The term Kuoshu, rather than the colloquial term Gongfu, was introduced by the Kuomintang in an effort to more closely associate Chinese martial arts with national pride rather than individual accomplishment. People's Republic Chinese martial arts experienced rapid international dissemination with the end of the Chinese Civil War and the founding of the People's Republic of China on October 1, 1949. Many well-known martial artists chose to escape from the PRC's rule and migrate to Taiwan, Hong Kong, and other parts of the world. Those masters started to teach within the overseas Chinese communities, but eventually they expanded their teachings to include people from other ethnic groups. Within China, the practice of traditional martial arts was discouraged during the turbulent years of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Like many other aspects of traditional Chinese life, martial arts were subjected to a radical transformation by the People's Republic of China to align them with Maoist revolutionary doctrine. The PRC promoted the committee-regulated sport of wushu as a replacement for independent schools of martial arts. This new competition sport was disassociated from what was seen as the potentially subversive self-defense aspects and family lineages of Chinese martial arts. In 1958, the government established the All China Wushu Association as an umbrella organization to regulate martial arts training. The Chinese State Commission for Physical Culture and Sports took the lead in creating standardized forms for most of the major arts. During this period, a national wushu system that included standard forms, teaching curriculum, and instructor grading was established. Wushu was introduced at both the high school and university level. The suppression of traditional teaching was relaxed during the era of Reconstruction, as communist ideology became more accommodating to alternative viewpoints. In 1979, the State Commission for Physical Culture and Sports created a special task force to re-evaluate the teaching and practice of wushu. In 1986, the Chinese National Research Institute of Wushu was established as the central authority for the research and administration of wushu activities in the People's Republic of China. Changing government policies and attitudes towards sports in general led to the closing of the State Sports Commission in 1998. This closure is viewed as an attempt to partially depoliticize organized sports and move Chinese sport policies towards a more market-driven approach. As a result of these changing sociological factors within China, both traditional styles and modern wushu approaches are being promoted by the Chinese government. Chinese martial arts are an integral element of 20th-century Chinese popular culture. Wuxia, or martial arts fiction, is a popular genre that emerged in the early 20th century and peaked in popularity during the 1960s to 1980s. Wuxia films were produced from the 1920s. The Kuomintang suppressed Wuxia, accusing it of promoting superstition and violent anarchy. Because of this, Wuxia came to flourish in British Hong Kong, and the genre of kung fu movie in Hong Kong action cinema became wildly popular, coming to international attention from the 1970s. The genre declined somewhat during the 1980s, and in the late 1980s the Hong Kong film industry underwent a drastic decline. Even before Hong Kong was handed to the People's Republic in 1997, in the wake of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, there has been somewhat of a revival of Chinese-produced wuxia films aimed at an international audience, including Hero, House of Flying Daggers and Reign of Assassins. Styles. China has a long history of martial arts traditions that includes hundreds of different styles. Over the past 2,000 years, many distinctive styles have been developed, each with its own set of techniques and ideas. There are also common themes to the different styles, which are often classified by families, sects, or schools. There are styles that mimic movements from animals and others that gather inspiration from various Chinese philosophies, myths and legends. Some styles put most of their focus into the harnessing of qi, while others concentrate on competition. Chinese martial arts can be split into various categories to differentiate them. For example, external and internal. Chinese martial arts can also be categorized by location, as in northern and southern as well, referring to what part of China the styles originated from. Separated by the Yangtze River, Chinese martial arts may even be classified according to their province or city. The main perceived difference between northern and southern styles is that the northern styles tend to emphasize fast and powerful kicks, high jumps and generally fluid and rapid movement, while the southern styles focus more on strong arm and hand techniques, and stable, immovable stances and fast footwork. Examples of the northern styles include Changquan and Xingyikan. Examples of the southern styles include Bak Mei, Wazhu Quan, Choi Li Fuch and Wing Chun. Chinese martial arts can also be divided according to religion, imitative styles, and family styles such as Hanga. There are distinctive differences in the training between different groups of the Chinese martial arts regardless of the type of classification. However, few experienced martial artists make a clear distinction between internal and external styles, or subscribe to the idea of northern systems being predominantly kick-based and southern systems relying more heavily on upper body techniques. Most styles contain both hard and soft elements, regardless of their internal nomenclature. Analyzing the difference in accordance with yin and yang principles, philosophers would assert that the absence of either one would render the practitioners skilled unbalanced or deficient, as yin and yang alone are each only half of the whole. If such differences did once exist, they have since been blurred.